I'm Dr. Sturm, and for this next video we're going to look at township, range, and section. Now we already looked at latitude and longitude, and we know that it's a coordinate system for the entire planet. Township, range, and section is another type of coordinate system, and it is actually used in a lot of the United States for property transactions. So, for instance, if you purchase a home here in Alabama, the home you purchase will be described using township, range, and section. This method of location for property transactions is used in all the United States except for the 13 original colonies and Texas. The 13 original colonies and Texas actually use a very old British system called metes and bounds. And the British system of metes and bounds is actually focused more on physical properties, like where the river is located or even where a particular tree was located. And of course, there's a problem with that because those physical locations will change over time. And in case you hear a little snorting in the background, that's my dog Samson, who is just trying to get attention right now. But a little quick introduction to township, range, and section. These were actually done in the 1800s. And so when you look at the way they're laid out, you'll notice some of the numbers appear to go backwards and then they go forwards. That's because when they were surveying the land, they had to do it on horseback. And so they actually walked every single section. So when you look at a topographic map, you're going to notice there are little boxes on the map. And inside of each box is a little number. Each one of these boxes is called a section. And if the section has no physical barriers, for instance, if it's not going up a giant mountain or it's entering a swamp, it's just like kind of nice flat land or easy to walk across, that section is going to be a perfect 1 mile by 1 mile square unit. And so again, each one of these sections was surveyed back in the 1800s all across the entire United States. So when states were added to our country, that's one of the very first things that happened. Surveyors went out and did all of these township, range, and sections. And you can imagine some places were easy to do, like Kansas and Iowa are really flat. But when you get to the Rocky Mountains, they still had to do this. They had to do this surveying. So when we look at the map, you're going to see lines that go north-south, just like your longitude lines, and you're going to have lines that go east-west, just like the latitude lines. Well, the lines that run north-south, and let me show you the first one. If you look at the top of the map, you're going to see some red numbers. There's going to be a little red dash, and on this side of the map, it says R6E. That means range 6 east. On this side of the map, we have range 7 east. And the little line that's between them is an imaginary line that goes down through the center of the map. And normally it's going to go straight down. Now in this case we have a river that runs through it, so it is offset. So we have a little bit different location at the bottom of the map. And let me just double check. I've got to put my glasses on to see those red numbers. Yep, same red numbers. So still range 6 east and range 7 east. Sometimes when you have a physical barrier like a large river, you can actually be getting into a whole new section of township, range, and section, and so the numbers may actually change. So in this case, they're the same numbers, but they're offset due to the difficulty of surveying across this river. So know that from here down to the river, everything on this side is range 6 east, on this side range 7 east, and on this side we have a different measurement. So that's your range numbers. The township numbers are the ones that are horizontal, that go across like this. You will find those red numbers on the side of the map. So in this map, we actually have 3 township numbers. So we have township 3 south. And so we have this line that comes across the map, and everything north of that line is township 3 south. Now obviously we have more land to the north. It's just this map stops here. So this township would continue on to the next map. Then we have Township 4 South, and that encompasses this entire area going across. And so this is all Township 4 South. Then below this line, we have Township 5 South, and again, this would extend on to your next map, and so you would have a full township. One township is comprised of 36 sections. So if you were to count all the sections in Township 4, if they're all on this map, you should get 36. On rare occasions, again, where you have some sort of physical barrier like a river, or often in wetland areas where it's very difficult to move through the area. I've seen this on maps in Louisiana where, you know, it's not safe to be in the wetland area either. In those cases, your township might not have just 36 square miles. It may have up to 100 square miles. And part of that was just the difficulty of surveying it. So they'll add a little section here and there. Again, that's not standard. The standard number is 36 square miles. So when we're looking at this map, we're going to find a location by using these numbers, the township, the range, and then you're going to look at for the smaller boxes in the center for the section. So we're going to start by looking for a first location. And on your exercise as well as on your final exam, you'll be looking for locations on the map. So you need to know how to use township and range. So your first location is something that was built, and it's actually shown on this map. There's actually a lot of buildings that are shown on this map. So we have churches that are on the map. You'll have large, if you have industry, large industrial complexes can be shown on the map. Of course, bridges are shown on the map. Cemeteries are often also shown on the map. Sometimes a cemetery is next to a church, sometimes not. Schools are normally shown on the map. Most public type of buildings are shown on the map. So our first location is going to be Township 4 South. Okay, so first let's find Township 4 South. So we look for the township numbers over on the sides. They're on the sides of the map. So Township 4 South, well, this part is Township 3 South, so we know it's not in there. This part is Township 5 South, so we know it's not in there. That means that we're looking in this center area, all right? So then the next thing we look at is the range. In this case, this is range 7 East. All right, so the range, again, it splits down the map. This is 6 East, this is 7 East. So we're looking in the township area here. And then the range, we're looking at 7 East. So we know that we're narrowing it down. So we're looking at just this side of the map. All right? So that's Township 4 South, range 7 East, and then we're looking for section 7. So again, you're going to look at these small boxes that are located. And again, where it splits, it's going to change. It's going to come down here. And we're going to look at these boxes on the map. So this dividing line, you're going to have different set of numbers. So for instance, you may have section 3. So you'll find a section 3 in this range, but you can also find a section 3 over in this range. So when you're getting to the section level, make sure you're looking at the correct area of the map. So in this case, we're going to be looking at section 7. So section 7 on this map, if we're again looking on this side, if we look across at these numbers, here's 6, so 5, 6, and then 7. So what building was built in section 7? So this is Township 4 South, range 7 East, section 7. And the building that we see that was built in this section is the Bellefonte nuclear plant. All right? So let's do one more. I'm going to give you one more, and in this case it's not a building, but there's something marked there. All right? So the next thing you're going to locate, again, you're going to locate Township 4 South. So, and typically the township is given first, the range is given second, and the section is given third. So Township 4 South. So again, we're looking in this big area right in the center of the map. So we have this whole area. So we haven't narrowed it down a whole lot yet. So, but this time we're looking at range 6 east. So again, this side, but this side of the map. So we're looking just in this little section on this side of the map. Now we're looking in section 21. We're actually going to look at section 21 and 22, but the first one we're going to look at section 21. So again, you start looking at the section numbers and just keep looking at the section numbers until you find number 21. So in this case, 21 is this little partial section. So they don't even show the whole section, but they do give the number 21. So we're looking in this little section here, and what you'll note in this particular section, the location I want you to see is the Thompson Cemetery. So this tells us that there's a cemetery located in this area. Now, a good question now to ask is, where the cemetery is located, what kind of rock is that? How would we find that out? Well, you can simply, the easy way is to look at the color of the rock. Also, on each of the colors of these rocks, you'll also see rock symbols. And those rock symbols will correspond to the symbols that are in the boxes on this side. So this particular rock, of course, is this kind of a dark orangey yellow color. And we come over to this side and we see that that particular color is actually from the Cambrian period. So that is one of your oldest rock units. So we're going to come down here, and this is the Knox group undifferentiated, Upper Cambrian and Lower Ordovician. So this is at the very end of the Cambrian, the very beginning of the Ordovician period. And it's a type of dolomite and a type of silty limestone. So dolomite and silty limestone, what kind of environment would that have formed in? So I want you to think about that. And you can see the descriptions that are given. So for professional geologists, they give very large descriptions to fully describe the rock. So the cemetery is over here. It's located on this Knox group undifferentiated rock unit. And it's in limestone, and silty limestone and dolomite. All right, section 22 is right next to section 21, and I just wanted to point this out to you because very close to the cemetery, if you just go to the east, just a few feet really, you'll see some letters that say BM, and then there's a number underneath that. What that is, that's a benchmark. And a benchmark is a very specific spot where a surveyor stood and got the exact elevation above sea level for that specific spot. So the number that's right under the BM, and the exact spot is a little triangle in shape. So if you look for the little triangle on the map, right next to it is BM, and then there's a number on it underneath it, and that number is 639 feet. This map is using feet as far as in elevation, we're using feet. So that tells you at that exact spot that that was 639 feet when the surveyor first surveyed it. Now we know that the crust of the earth can change over time. So for instance, in areas that used to be covered by big continental ice sheets, like Canada and even Chicago, that crust is rebounding every year. It's actually rising up. So in those areas, if this number was done in the 1800s, it may not be an accurate number. Of course, the other thing to note is erosion takes place all the time, so it could actually be lower due to erosion. So, but this is typically a good number, or a good location that a surveyor would come back to that specific location and maybe resurvey that spot. So those are some of your locations on the map. And I hope you understand or are a little bit more familiar with how to find township, range, and section.